Welcome to Friday's edition of TimesCast. Today's better-than-expected job report.
People were expecting a pretty dire report, and this was slightly less than dire.
A first look at a coming story about an unusual ritual in Madagascar. And the future of communication?
I still don't know why this is better than a video call on Skype. Do you know?
Catherine Rampell and Motoko Rich on today's less-than-dire employment numbers and what they mean for President Obama.
So Motoko, we had a new jobs report come out today, and they came in a little bit better than expected. What was the big picture?
People were expecting a pretty dire report, and this was slightly less than dire. And so the headline number is that instead of being down over 100,000 jobs, we were down about 54,000 jobs. And most of that was on account of a continuing loss of temporary census workers. But the number that a lot of economists really focus on is how many private sector jobs were added. And that was expected to be between 30 and 40,000, and it was about 67,000. That being said, no one is saying this is a good report. It's not. It's better than expected, and the optimists say that this kind of pushes back any thought that we might be about to tip over into a double-dip recession.
I mean, we need to be adding twice as many jobs
Exactly,
per month,
at
right?
least.
To eat
Just
into
to
that
account.
backlog of workers who have been out of work.
Right. In fact, we need to be adding twice as many jobs just to account for the new people. You know, college graduates, people re-entering the labor force after many years out for healthcare reasons or for staying home with their children or other members of the family. And then on top of that, we lost 8 million jobs during the recession. So this pace of growth is not near enough to fill that hole.
Well, so then what does all of this mean for the jobs push that we've been hearing the Obama administration thinking about engaging in the next week or so?
Well, the president said in his remarks this morning that it was growth, but not at the rate that we need, as we had mentioned. And so he has said that he is, in the first instance, pushing Congress to pass this package of $30 billion for community banks to lend to small businesses. And then in the second instance, he said he will be thinking of some other measures. There's probably going to be a lot of debate about what those measures should be. On the one side, there are people who have talked about tax cuts. On the other side are people who've talked about additional spending.
A first look at a coming story about an unusual ritual in Madagascar.
In the central highlands of Madagascar, ancestors are periodically taken from their tombs and lifted onto the shoulders of the living, who then dance with the bones of the dead. The ceremony is called a famadian. Tears are discouraged. This is a joyous time for a family.
Izy zany dia ohatran'ny hoe lovana zafy anaka foana zany io famadiana io hoe eo ny jadany dia miteraka dia zafy mandeha foana ohatsa mitovitovy ihany zany no zao atakazana.
Usually, a family holds a famadian only once every 5 or 7 years. Hundreds of guests are sometimes invited, and they must all be fed. Usually meat and rice, accompanied by beer and rum. Before the dead are returned to the tomb, they are carefully re-wrapped, the new shroud going over the old one. It is a time when elders tell young children about each ancestor and why it is so important that these forebears be remembered, that these dead never become lost in the world. For the New York Times, this is Barry Barak.
And a first look at a coming story. David Pogue and Nick Bilton offer a glimpse of how we might communicate in the future.
Have you ever wanted to talk to someone from far away? Sure, you could call or video chat, but nothing beats being there. Well, almost being there.
Hey, Nick! Nick!
Oh, geez, David, how you doing?
Are you enjoying my telepresence? Most people do.
I am. So this is RoboPogue. Where are you right now?
Well, technically I'm in Connecticut, and you're in New York, but I could just as well be anywhere.
The machine that David and I have been using is called a TechSci. It's what's known as a telepresence robot. All you need to use this is a Wi-Fi connection, a webcam, and of course the robot. So David Pogue was just controlling the robot from his home in Connecticut, and this is the way he was doing it. What you see on my computer is I have a Skype connection, which is connecting to the robot so I can see through the cameras. And then I also have a little browser plug-in right here that's actually showing what the robot can see. So the purpose of the robot is really for companies that have a lot of remote workers that want to be able to wander the hallways and talk to other coworkers while they can't actually be in the location that they're working. Do you think that this is actually a viable solution for people that want to have telepresence conversations?
Oh, absolutely not. I honestly don't get it. I still don't know why this is better than a video call on Skype. Do you know?
I could see it maybe in a smaller setting where you have like an office in San Francisco and an office in New York, and it's a really small space. I could possibly see that being a solution. But we went over to the elevators and we couldn't press the elevator button because this little robot doesn't have arms.
The lack of arms is a problem. In fact, would you mind scratching my nose right now? I can't get to it. Thank you. That's much better.
Join us again on Tuesday for another edition of TimesCast.